Good evening. Why is it good evening? I'll sound like a newsreader.
It is evening at time of recording.
Is it? Oh, okay. Hello and welcome to episode number begins with T, and I don't know what number it is.
Oh, Joe, let me look it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so review of the year part 2 was 21.
Right. Episode number 22. Are you alright, Tom?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Marcus.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I was sitting in the bath the other day. Do you have baths or do you shower most?
Yeah, no, I have baths.
Yeah. Although I don't do them too much because they're a bit unenvironmental, aren't they? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of water. So I recommend that everyone does showers more, but occasional baths are good. And I actually feel like I've been for a run when I've had a bath, if that makes sense. It gives you the same feeling.
Yeah, doesn't it burn off as many calories as going for a run?
No.
Well, I'm not sure about that. I think it might do.
Does it?
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends how much you play with your bubbles and your rubber duck.
That's true. What, while you're running?
Yeah. So I come up with good ideas in the bath, and I thought, I couldn't think what to do for this podcast. So I thought, I'll do baths. Bathtubs.
Yeah. Well, a subject very close to your heart by the sound of it.
Well, yeah. In art history, there's been quite a lot of bathtub action going on.
Yeah, they didn't have showers in medieval times, did they?
I suppose they're bathhouses, didn't they? Like big communal baths. But this is more the solitary kind of bath I've picked. So, Tom, we're gonna go for a journey of things that perhaps you shouldn't type in on Google, to political art, maybe one of the first ever modern paintings. And we'll be doing a few other artists that put themselves through quite painful or unpleasant baths. And then finally, I'm going to show you what I consider to be one of the worst, most distasteful pieces of art and involving a bath that I think I've ever seen.
Okay, that's strong stuff.
Yeah, I know. So be prepared. Are you ready?
I'm going to need extra bubbles in this bath.
Andy Warhol. Now, I don't know if you know Andy Warhol made films.
I've heard of such a thing.
Yeah. So this one, right? Can I just put a word of warning out to you listening? As I found out, do not type in the title of this work without putting on the safe search in Google, because the title of the work is called Tub Girls.
Oh right, okay.
If you type in Tub Girl, not Tub Girls, but if you type in Tub Girl, that actually comes in at number 10 in the Sun newspaper's list of 10 things that you should never type in Google.
Oh, really? Does it? So the Sun's got a top 10 list. What else is amongst the list? Any other works by artists we might know?
No. But apparently,
no other Andy Warhols.
No. I think it may be something. I didn't actually stick around to see what the reason was, but I think it involves someone with a very deep belly button.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're not talking Andy Warhol anymore.
No, we're not. We're talking So, what is the work? The work was made in 1967, and it was features a Warhol superstar. He made a lot of people quite famous just by the virtue of them hanging around with him and being in his films. Like Edie Sedgwick was probably the most famous, but there was another person called Viva, and she was a model and an artist. And
so these aren't actors; they're just people hanging around with him, like other arty people.
Arty people, but Viva was previously a model and a painter, and she started making films, and she was introduced to him. So he decided to make a thing called Tub Girls, which is a series of films featuring Viva, where she takes baths with people of different sexes and they just talk about stuff. I don't think it's anything, X-rated, but it's just people having a chat, and there's one where they go in one posh bath. There's another one where they're just in a see-through bath.
Yeah, so this is the sort of art, like having a chat like they're on Graham Norton or something.
Well, yeah, but in a bathtub.
Oh, right, yeah. Or David Letterman or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, look at you being all transatlantic.
Well, you know, I try my best.
Yeah. On to the next work, and this is called The Death of Mara, and it was actually painted in 1793. It's a really great work, and it's also one of the first modern paintings, I feel. It's painted by Jacques Louis David. Now, I'll describe it for you listening at home, although I would recommend that if you pop onto the website, we'll have a image there. But what it is an image of a man, and he's lying in a bath, and he's looking quite heroic, isn't he? He's almost Jesus-like. It's a bit like the Pieta, you know, when Jesus is taken down from the cross.
I didn't get that feeling looking at it. I thought he was writing a suicide note. There's a knife on the floor. There's blood coming out of the bath, and he's got a note in his hand, like he's just written.
You didn't have dreams of being a coroner, did you, or anything?
No, this is just looking at this painting. I don't even. What's
looking
the painting?
At the evidence, you've decided it was suicide and not murder.
Well, that was my first thought.
Yeah. So what we've got here is we've got a guy, and he's lying in a bath. Clearly he's been writing something, and he's lying slumped. He's been stabbed, mortally wounded. In one hand he holds a quill pen, and in the other hand he's holding a letter, and there's a sort of a rough looking box on which looks to have been a cheque.
Looks like a cajon, doesn't it?
A cajon?
You know, one of those drums you sit on.
Oh, yes. And then there's a knife below him, just by the side. So what's actually happened is the actual scene of a murder. I need to give you some history as to who the person is. Do you know Jean-Paul
So
Marat?
this is like a murder that was famous in 1793, was it?
Yes. Well, that's when it was painted. It was just a little bit before then when it was actually done. Now, you think 17...
What, the murder or the painting?
Well, the murder. So... This is during the French Revolution, and the French Revolution is actually from about 1789 to about 1799. So it's a long old revolution, wasn't it, in France?
Yeah, well, it's a decade long.
And Marat was he was a journalist, and he was also like quite a political agitator. So he would publish books that would really, really rather upset the authorities. So he'd be on the run a lot of times.
What, from the royalists? Is that it was royalists?
Well,
what were the two sides in the French Revolution?
Well, the thing is, in the French Revolution, well, I suppose it was the royalists. I don't know what they would be told.
So he was stabbed by one.
There was various different. No, there was various different sides, and he was always on the run. And basically, he sometimes would even have to hire in the sewer systems of France. So you can imagine that's bad for your skin.
Yeah, so he was always on the suicide.
Yeah. Oh, is that why you decided suicide? See, in the end, still despite being on the run, when the revolution came, he actually was elected to the National Assembly of France. He was what was called a group of people called the Jacobeans, and they wanted the king dead. They wanted the king executed. They were quite ruthless and quite like, you know, they loved the people. They wanted to.
So he'd be like writing, "I want the king dead. The king should be dead."
He was
one of the Jacobeans.
He was kind of saying it was the will of the people.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know, and there were some people that were softer, who were more reasonable, who were saying, and they were
just want the king to have a bang on the head.
They said no, don't kill the king, but they were still against the king.
Yeah, just get rid of the crown, but let him live in the country somewhere.
No. Of course, Marat didn't like these people being all soft on the king and being nice, so he wanted to do away with them, as it were.
So he was killed by one of his own, really.
Well, on a similar side. So
by a fellow Remainer.
Well, yeah.
A fellow Brexiteer.
Where did that come from, Tom? In case you don't know, there's a thing called Brexit
Oh,
going
no,
on.
people know about that.
Well, do they?
Yeah.
Do they really?
Well, maybe they don't hear as much about it as
Not in
us,
the
but
big goldfish bowl of Britain.
yeah, no, but it's all Trump, Brexit. It's all the same story, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is a lot of these things are actually quite political, as you'll hear. Jean-Paul Marat, he's in the bath, and he's been writing checks for the poor, as you do in your bath, because he's a man of the people.
All right,
you know.
yeah, like that boxer. What's his name?
I know.
Okay,
what you mean.
let's ignore
Tyson
that.
Fury.
Tyson Fury. Ignore that reference. That was
Tyson
bad.
Fury.
Yeah. We're going a bit sporty.
Yeah. So what happens is a woman called Charlotte Corday, who's not a Jacobin. She's one of the people that is a bit more soft on the king. Doesn't want the king in full power, but it's a bit more soft. She says to Jean-Paul Marat, "I've got some people. I've got some names. Can I come and see you? I've got some names of people that have escaped." And he says, "Oh, well, I better see her." So he says, "Come into my bathroom." And she hands him this letter, and allegedly with the names on it. And then she just takes a knife and stabs him.
Whoa.
If we look at the painting, you can see that it says on it, "My great unhappiness gives me a right to your kindness."
That's what the note says.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that this was actually painted by an artist called Jacques-Louis David. And he was another one who wanted to kill the king.
So he was another fellow Brexiteer.
Fellow Jacobin. Yeah,
Sorry.
sort of.
Yeah. So it's all like infighting in history that this painting is telling us about.
Well, yeah, Jacques-Louis David was asked to paint by the leader of the Jacobin party, Robespierre. He was 3 sort of new images of martyrs, and this is one of them. And if you look on it, it's actually there are a few sort of visual cues there. If you look at the box, we talked about the box that looks like a drum.
Yeah.
It's really cheap looking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even though Marat's a very important person, it shows he still chooses to live humbly, and he is a man of the people.
Oh, right, yeah.
And written on the box, if you look right at the bottom, it's got l'an 2, meaning the second year. Because when the revolution happened, they thought it's all going to change. Everything's going to be when the revolution comes in. So it was like year 2 when he got killed.
Wow, yeah.
And as I say as well, if you look further, saying he's a man of the people, he's writing checks to the poor.
This is actually like political propaganda as a piece. The way it was created and the message it's trying to give.
So on to the next one. Now, this is a guy, Stuart Brisley. He's a British artist. Now, again, it's another political bath, but this is a really, mind you, I suppose being stabbed in your bath and being dead is quite stinky, but this is another bath that's definitely smells a bit stinky because it involves offal.
Offal?
Yeah, like the rotting insides of animals.
Oh, right, yeah.
Brisley was a performance artist, and he's slightly actually left-wing. And what this work is he laid in a bath for 2 weeks, for 2 hours a day, and the bath was black, and he was clothed, and in the bath was bits of what looked like bits of meat, and at the end of the bath was offal, which is like rotting flesh, and gradually over the period the maggots would hatch. This is disgusting, isn't it? And gradually they were actually crawling into the bath, so you can imagine it's quite a stinky, horrible scene. And this artist, when he sat there, he would sat there motionless for about 2 hours, basically until the water got too cold that he had to get out and just lie there. So you can imagine this man, his black, putrid kind of bath, and he's just looking up. We'll put a link to the photographs on the webpage, and he's just there, just holding his head just above the water.
Yeah, no, so that looks pretty rank.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, why weren't animal rights protesters there trying to shut him down?
Well, I suppose he's already got it from the factory, isn't he? It's
from the butcher.
Yeah, I mean, I like bath milk, but that's...
So what was he saying?
Like
You're
bath
saying
milk.
It's like political.
Well, yeah. So now, bear in mind, this is the early 70s. He was quite influenced by some of the slogans of the time. in 1970, the Labour Party, which is the equivalent of, I suppose, it's a bit like the American Democratic Party, and other sort of left-wing parties around the world, and they had a slogan which said, "You know it makes sense," which is kind of like "You know it makes sense," which it probably does, but it's also a bit of a cliche, isn't it? It's a bit
marketing-y.
It's a bit witty.
Yeah.
Now this Bath piece was and for today nothing. So he made this Bath piece in 1972, and that was actually when the Labour Party didn't get in. It was actually a surprise win by Edward Heath's Conservatives.
They joined Europe, didn't they? Didn't they have a referendum?
Yeah. It's all Brexit-y Baths, isn't it? So you can imagine he's powerless. It's to me, I look at this and I just think he's nothing. He's just saying, look, you know, we're almost trapped inside this kind of rubbish existence.
Yeah.
There's actually a quote from Sartre, who's a French philosopher, and I think it kind of goes quite well with it. I want to leave, to go somewhere where I should be really in my place, where I would fit in, but my place is nowhere. I am unwanted. And I can see this guy sitting in a bath, and I'm thinking, yeah. And another one, which Sartre says, which is, freedom is what we do with what is done to us.
Yeah, so he was like this was like a political statement of he was saying, directing this at the government, was he?
Well, he was almost saying, I think it's a powerless.
This misery, this powerlessness.
Yeah, and you're not really free. But I think it's a bit like the French mayor. I think it's a bit like him in his bath. I think it's that kind of thing. It's just a modern, stinky take on it.
Oh, right, yeah.
Would you do that? Would you lie in a bath of offal for protest, or have you got a better idea?
Yeah, no, it sounds like a good way to protest, because it's pretty rank, isn't it?
Yeah, his work.
There's all stuff at the end of the bath. Yeah. Is that all offal as well?
Yeah.
And it's all dripping everywhere. It looks pretty. Even though the images I've got aren't like full colour, are they? But it still looks pretty colourful.
Yeah, when I have a bath around my mum's, it's kind of like pleasant bath salts and bath milk and nice stuff like that. Not that.
Yeah, well, you know, it's like, what are you going to do with your Sunday roast if your granddad's not hungry, you know?
Stick it in there. Right, I'm going to get that with my next roast.
Bathtubs! Bathtubs, 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 bathtubs. Bathtubs, 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 bathtubs.
This is really good. Look at that one. Right. Okay, so on to the next next bath, and can I just say as a caveat before we go ahead, do not try this at home.
Well, I think people should have the freedom to try what they want in their bathtubs at home, surely.
Oh, no. You're never really free to... If we think about Sartre, you're never really free to do what you want in your bathtub. This is by an artist who actually was formerly a dancer, but so this is kind of more like body art. Jan Marisic. And he's Swiss, and the work is called Shattered Bath, and literally it is broken up panes of glass, or shattered panes of glass in a bath. So what he did was, as a performance, and this was done in 2010, he actually laid in a glass of bath as a performance, and at the start of the performance, all you could see was his arm. Over the course of the performance, he would gradually get out of the bathtub.
So did he like get all cut and stuff? Because he's totally naked, isn't he?
Yes, and he didn't. I've seen him get out of the bath, and I'll put a link on the site. He didn't get cut, and it's incredible. I think there's something to do with his powers of choreography and dance, because what he's doing is he's actually really interested in really slow movements, and he's interested in the fact of being a passive. Almost passive to the work, so the body is passive to the work. So if he lays still, nothing happens. But as soon as he starts to move,
you
slowly,
get cut.
yeah.
But it's a shame there wasn't a Guinness World Records adjudicators there, so they could verify that the glass was so, and that he was so, and that it was all done.
They don't like dangerous things. They don't like encouraging really dangerous things. Like they banned goldfish swallowing, didn't they? Mind you, that's cruel. That's probably why.
Did that used to be in the Guinness Book
I
of
believe
World
so.
Record?
I'm sure there's some like dodgy ones that are in there that are no longer in there. When you watch it, it is quite an interesting and quite an absorbing thing. I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed actually watching it.
So did you see a film of it?
Yeah, film. I didn't actually see it. I mean, again, he likes to put himself in sort of like be a very passive to the art, and it's a bit like, I don't know if it reminds you a bit of Marina Abramovich almost.
Absolutely, yeah. It's quite a spectacle, isn't it?
Yeah.
So does he has he done other performances?
Yes, there was another one where he lay on a sort of like a long dance mat, and it was covered in oil. He had a rope around his neck, and it was attached to a winch. And what the audience members could do is, if they wanted to, they could wind the winch and drag
very
him along.
Marina Abramovich.
Yeah. But it's like Marina Abramovich with only one thing.
Yeah, but it's one dangerous thing.
Yes, on his part, it's a bit masochistic. On the part of the viewer, it's quite sadistic. Yeah.
Yeah, because you've got a bit of power there. You could just go up and turn it.
There's no instruction with his work.
Oh, right, yeah. Because Marina Abramovich had instruction, didn't she, with hers? Yeah. So I guess no one got involved, because without instruction, as a viewer, you go into a gallery. If you're not given instruction, you don't necessarily go and fiddle with stuff. It's not what you do when you go to a performance.
No. Would you have done that? I wouldn't have done that. I would have left it.
If there had been instruction that it was possible to do that, then people would have probably done it, do you think?
Yeah, I know I would have been the first one to do it as well.
Yeah. And had they done it, I'm gathering from this that maybe it would have been, could have been Terminal.
Yeah, this is
4. Terminal 4? I'm not
Terminal 4. What are you talking about? Gatwick.
Terminal 4 him.
Yeah, well, that was the thing as well. Is I wouldn't seek to injure someone without instruction. That doesn't sound right. Right, on to the next one. Now, you know what I was saying? We looked at what that art can be beautiful, and it doesn't matter, and I genuinely mean this, it doesn't matter from what side of the political argument it comes from. Good art is good art. Sometimes it can be, although, I mean, I have to say...
Though some politics is better than others.
Well, perhaps.
Good art is good art, but some politics is better than others.
Yeah. We're going to lose.
Other art is available.
Yeah. This piece, right, so onto this piece of art. This is, as I said before, possibly the worst piece of distasteful art that I've seen. And it's got nothing to do with the fact, right, that it's from a pro-Trump art show. In 2016, there was a pro-Trump art show called #Daddy Will Save Us.
So hang on, there's so much distaste already in the story. Like, Trump is quite distasteful in his politics, isn't he? Distaste art for Trump. There's just distaste from the start here.
Yeah. Now, I, as a counter argument, because I feel there should be some kind of balance here, I thought the Shepherd Peferi poster for Obama, I thought it was a good image. But did I think it was great art? No, I didn't think it. I think it was just a poster that had no, it was a really strong poster image, and I liked the image.
But had no particularly aesthetic
No,
merit.
it didn't make me think any deeper at its core. It was just a poster that was getting people to vote for Obama. But it was a good image. Well, looking at the images at this art show, none of them were good images. So they don't even have that going for them. At this art show, Daddy Will Save Us, there was things like, you've got here a picture. Someone's done some paintings of George Washington, or taken paintings or prints of George Washington, and put a "Make America Great Again" hat on them. It's just a bit naff, really, in my opinion. And they had another work. Someone had done playing cards featuring sort of Trump images. Not great stuff. But the one I want to talk about today is the bath. Now, it involves a guy who's a right-wing commentator and political activist, and also a bit of a Twitter troll, called Milo Yiannopoulos. And what he did was he got into a bath filled with pig's blood. And in this video, which I've seen, he's wearing sunglasses and a gold chain and a baseball cap with the words "Make America Great Again." The thing is, right, the first...
So he's sitting in a blood-filled bath, and on the wall...
Pig's blood.
Pig's blood, yeah. On the wall, there's pictures of heads, like, cut out of magazines, and they're all splattered with blood, all of them. Who are all these people?
Well,
are they also political...
They are actually pictures of people that were killed by illegal aliens in America. So
they were murder victims.
So people that were killed by people that came to America illegally.
So they're like, you know, as Fox News would say, blessed Americans killed by illegals.
Yeah. So he's rather tastefully taken the pictures of people that were murdered, put them up on the wall of this art piece, and started to splatter them with blood.
There's a certain amount of, I can recognise this. It just reminds me of Fox News or something. Whatever this guy is the presenter of, it's his show, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's all about him. He's a real political agitator who actually...
He's very right-wing, yeah?
Yeah, very right-wing.
Yeah.
It's fine. What I find is tasteful myself is taking pictures of people who are dead and murdered in such a way, and then making a kind of self-serving publicity stunt.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like his views in news channel expressed in art, whatever it is he does. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's actually the image of it. Just looks like something truthful about it somehow.
Yeah,
like in its distastefulness.
As I say,
if it had been made by someone else, it could be quite clever.
Well, yes,
in its distaste, you know.
Yeah, but yes. It could be.
It's quite important, isn't it, what the artist's political beliefs are before you're looking and understanding the work. It makes such a difference.
Well, yeah, it does. It does make a difference to what the beliefs are. But I tend to try and, as much as I can, look past that and see whether it's good art. That concludes our bathtub thing. So he seems to have gone very political this one, Tom, but you can't avoid the
It started, though, with you recommending we should take showers, which is better for the environment, using less water. Yeah. It was political from the outset, this episode.
Yeah. And we've got an announcement. In March, Tom, did you know that it's going to be our anniversary? 1 year.
That is so romantic that you remember, Marcus.
Don't expect gifts, because the gifts are all for the people listening and people on our Facebook page. If you know of anyone who does art, or if you do art, we're going to do a special celebration podcast where we talk about your work. So
yeah, and so we were saying as well, you could also recommend a friend, because people might not want to recommend their own work.
Yeah, and
like if there's an artist you know that you like who's really good, we could have a look at their work.
Yeah, so if you've got anyone who's done any performances, interesting performances, we can talk about that. Or if anyone's got any pictures, and we might put it on the website.
I've been at my nephew's birthday party today, Marcus.
Yeah,
like they're fours, a pair of them.
Yeah,
and they do art.
Yeah,
and it's like all over the house. You know what it's
like.
You know, kids and their art. It's all over the fridge, whatever. Like, what about that sort of art?
Yes, that's acceptable.
Kids art. Do you like kids art?
Yeah, I mean there will be some. Yes, I do like kids art. So
yeah, so we'll need permission, won't we? So we don't break any copyrights if we want to put it on the website.
yeah, that's why we're asking.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
So saying that by sending it in, you're agreeing to it.
Yeah.
So you can contact us on info@modernartisrubbish. I'll also be putting posts on the Modern Art is Rubbish Facebook page about it. iTunes, if you can give us a 5-star review on iTunes, that would be great. And subscribe to the podcast if you've not. If you feel the urge to share an episode, that would be great.
Yeah, and visit our Patreon page.
Yes.
It does cost us to do this, but
Yeah.
we get supported, so that that means a lot to us. So thanks everyone for that as well.
Yeah. Thanks for that. And
yeah.
So, it's just buys then, isn't it?
All right. Cheerio.
See ya. Bye. And please send in some work.
Right. Can we have a sound of us plopping in a bath now? Bathtubs.